Good evening, everybody. Very appreciative of you coming out tonight to witness the City Council forum. City Council. That was last week. Rewind. Let's fast forward for the school board forum tonight. So, welcome, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. We have Alpha Natural Resources, Bristol Regional Medical Center, CenturyLink, Eastman Chemical Company, and Vulcan Materials. They help us be able to have these forums, and we're very appreciative of the candidates for being here tonight. Without further ado, I will introduce our moderator, Mr. Jack Dempsey. He's the Vice President and General Manager of Bonton Media Group stations here in the Tri-Cities. He comes to Tri-Cities in 1985, and he's worked for WJHL TV until last year when he joined WCYB TV. He's a graduate of East Tennessee State University, and throughout the years he has served on numerous boards in the region and currently belongs to the Bristol New Rotary Club. Jack serves on the board of the United Way and the Bristol Train Station Operating Board. He is married to Diane Dempsey, Executive Director of the Paramount Center for the Arts. They have 5 children and 9 grandchildren, and he said holidays are extremely loud at his house. So I'm pleased to welcome Jack to the podium so we can get started with our forum. Thank you for being here.
I know what y'all thinking. I can read it right here. They went and got some guy named Jack Dempsey because they think he's going to be able to keep these candidates on time. Well, the good news is I don't have to do that. I've got these 3 lovely ladies right here in front who are going to help with that. But I think at this time we will introduce the candidates, and then I'm going to go through a few rules and how this is structured, and then we'll begin. First, running from the East District, Gwen Ellis and Jill Harrison. Wave. Kind of like on TV. Wave. Running in the South District, Nelson Pyle. And then running from the West District, Jim Butcher. I think now would be a good time for us to pause and for a few moments of silence in memory of Kelly Buskell, who we lost recently, and recognize the tremendous service that he provided this community. So let's pause for just a moment. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening statements, 2 minutes to answer each question, and 2 minutes for closing statements. The questions have been will be determined by a random draw and asked in alphabetical rotating order to the candidate, giving each candidate an opportunity to answer first. All questions were solicited and submitted from the community, as well as member businesses of the Bristol Chamber of Commerce. Candidates, please watch the 30-second remaining sign when answering each question. A bell will sound indicating your allotted time. Do that again. Very good, very good. Indicating that your allotted time to speak has ended. And I understand this bell has all the authority and impact that a bell would in school. So since you're running for school board, you have to act accordingly. All right, so we will begin now with opening statements, and we will begin with Jim Butcher.
Thank you, Jack. I am the candidate for the West District, and barring something far unseen, I will be a member of the school board this coming fall and summer. I think it's important that you do know what I believe in, since I am going to be a school board member. So let me tell you just my philosophy, basically. You know, lots of things are very trendy in education. Lots of things change. I know while I was in education for 30 years, and the last part of it at Tennessee High School as a principal, testing was very important. We'd have EOC tests. We'd have TCAP tests. We just had all kinds of testing, and now we're going to a Common Core, which I personally think is pretty good. But, you know, it's pretty trendy. But I'll tell you what's not trendy, and I'll tell you what's a constant. Relationship, the interpersonal relationship with teachers and kids in the classroom. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the opportunity presents itself for, you know, to the teacher to make an impact for a lifetime. So what I will do is everything I can possible from my school board position to support that teacher, support that classroom, support that building, what houses those teachers. I'll also try to support as much as I can the administration in any aspect that I can also, because as I say, I think it's just very, very important that we give all our support to the person who makes it happen. That's the classroom teacher. Thank you.
Gwen Ellis?
I will stand also because I can't see most of you in the back. But my name is Gwen Ellis, and I have lived in the Bristol community for 24 years. Over 23 of those years in the same house on Georgia Avenue where I live now. I am running for school board because I would like to continue to serve. I have served for the past 8 years. And I just love being a public servant. I don't consider myself a politician. I don't even know how to do that, but I am an honest and sincere person, and I have loved serving the community. I love talking to people. I've had an opportunity to talk to students and their parents and staff over the last 8 years. And, you know, I love it when they stop me in the grocery store or at Walmart or wherever I happen to be and ask me questions about the system. Even if those questions may sometimes not seem very flattering at the time, I like any opportunity to educate the public about what the board actually does, because I don't think the public has a real idea of what we do. But I have been a volunteer for our system with PTA, Fairmount, and Vance. I've participated in just about everything I can do. I've pulled weeds. I've helped build a playground. I've helped with the reading program. I would like to continue those things. And I'm also a believer in that, you know, you don't go with every flash in the pan. You know, I know our teachers now get a little frustrated with, you know, having new things put on them all the time, but I believe that there's no substitute for sitting down with a child and, for instance, teaching them to read. There's no substitute for spending the time. And I just have enjoyed serving, and that's why I would like to continue to serve. Thank you.
All right. Jill Harrison?
Thank you to the Chamber, first of all, for putting this together. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Dempsey. I'm Jill Harrison. I grew up in Bristol. I went to Fairmount Elementary School, the old Fairmount Elementary, and I went to Vance when it was a junior high and not a middle school. I went to Tennessee High, class of 1978, Mighty Viking Band. I have 2 children in the school system, currently at Holston View and at Vance. Next year they're going to be Vance and Tennessee High. My mother taught first grade for 26 years in this school system. I grew up going to the fall festivals at the old Holston Heights School and the PTA meetings at Holston View whenever it opened. So I have 3 very different, y'all don't hold me to counting because I held up 4 numbers, 3 very different perspectives that will be very useful in serving on the school board. I've always been very active in the community. Bristol Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees, this Chamber of Commerce, Holston View PTA for many years and now, American Red Cross, just some of the things that I've been involved in because it's very important to give back to your community. So why am I running for school board? I'm a product of this school system. These schools, these teachers, this staff. I am very grateful for that. It gave me a great academic foundation to go to UT, to law school, and to undergrad, and to graduate, and to come back here and work to be close to family. I want my children to be able to do that if they want. And right now, I don't know that that's a possibility. So from my perspective, what I'd like to see is for us to have a stronger working relationship with the city management and the city executives in the economic development process. We have so many unbelievable stories to tell about our school system. We have got to get it into the hands of industry. I have some very specific ideas about how we can do that, utilizing our students, utilizing our schools with virtually no expense, just time and what we have. Thank you.
And now, Nelson Pike.
Thank you. Nelson Pyle. I'm from the South District. Live in Apple Valley. Have, with my lovely wife Barbara, have 3 adult sons and 10 grandchildren, which we're very proud of. Been in education all my life. And actually, I never got out of school. I spent 36 years in education, and really didn't intend to do that. I started off as pre-med, and the football coach looked at me and said, "Nelson, I want you to be eligible. So you need to go somewhere else." So I've been teaching math and physical education and administration. The first time I ran for school board, I'm running for the second term, but the first time I was really looking for a plan, a strategic plan, and a whole community development plan where we had a direction and focus to go. And we have accomplished that, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. But it took all of the school board members and our leadership with Gary Lilly to do that, and we're very proud of that. But there's some parts of that plan that needs to be continued. And some of that plan is the academic excellence of every student we have. And when you go into our state standard testing systems, we have a tendency to teach to the middle. And we have neglected our gifted students more than we need to. And one of the accomplishments that we did do was AP exams, and that every kid that takes an AP class takes that exam. And the partnership with the city makes it beneficial for us to be successful with that. I like to enhance a culture of study and academics in the school system. We have to have challenging curriculum all the way through, not just at the high school and middle school, but all the way through, so kids understand the importance of what curriculum is. It's not a GPA, it's what you know when you get out of here. And so we need to do as much as we can to foster that academic excellence.
At this time now, we'll move to the first question, and Gwen Ellis will be answering first. And the question is, do you feel the Bristol, Tennessee school system has adequate security measures in place for students and faculty? If not, what additional measures should be taken?
Safety and security is something that we have been talking about quite a bit lately, and there's been lots of things happening on the news across the country. I am very proud to say that our system did not just start looking at safety when these things began to happen. That's usually what gets the public excited. Before I even came on the board, our administrators were meeting with the police department, the chief of police, and coming up with plans to try to ensure safety. Now, we know that we cannot give anyone 100% guarantee. I'm a parent, all three of my kids have been in the system, and that's what I would love to have. I remember calling the high school when my son went to preschool there before he started. It was right after Columbine, and trying to get some sort of guarantee that my kid would be 100% safe. I didn't get that. I know that they can't give me that, but I can say very safely that we are doing everything. We're working with the chief of police now. We're still talking about safety. We have taken some measures. Everything that the system does for safety will never be given completely to the public, because then the kids would not be as safe. But I am sure that we are taking steps to be as safe as we can be. We can't predict everything. I wish we could. People think that we have control of everything, even the weather. Dr. Dixon back there will attest that people think we can control the snow. We don't have control over everything, but safety is first in our minds. My kids have been in the system. I still have one kid in the system, and I, above everybody else, as much as anybody else, would like for the kids and the staff to feel safe. And we are actively working on that, and as the world changes and the climate changes, we will continue to change with it. Thank you.
Next, with the answer, is Jill Harrison.
Well, I don't know that I have the answer, but funding is always an issue. We have resource officers at Tennessee High, and we have resource officers at Vance. I know at Vance, when I go in, you're buzzed in, and you come straight in, and the interior doors are locked so that you can't get past there. I think that is something that we should look at doing at the other schools, because I know at least Holston View, you go directly in. My husband and I went, I can't remember what it was for event in the past few weeks, and the staff was not at the desk, so we were just waiting for someone to come back, and one of the children came over and opened the door. So a child is a child. We want them to be trusting, and we want them, you know, to be open with other folks. But I see that as an issue, whether it's just looking at how we could reinforce that with another set of doors that can't be opened, then I think that's a possibility. If the funding were available, I think we should have resource officers from elementary school. At this point, that's not a possibility because of the funding, and I recognize that fact. I don't believe that we should have individuals who have license to carry in the schools because they're not trained to deal with armed intruders. They're not trained to deal with hostage situations. I think we need to leave that to the individuals who are on our police force who are trained to handle those matters. Thank you.
Our next respondent, Nelson Pyle.
I think we've been very blessed in the Bristol system to have the safety programs we've had, and we've had them for many, many, many years. And it is true, it's not 100% guarantee, and it's a constant vigil, I think, from the school personnel's point of view. I agree with Gwen, we can't guarantee it 100%. I don't want to put police officers in every school. I think we have to do some other things that are more proactive. And one of our best solutions as the principal of Tennessee High School was education of the kids and the teachers and students knowing exactly what to do and when. And your students were our best defense. I really felt strongly about that. And so, you know, a strong education program is probably more valuable than a gun in a classroom.
And our final respondent, Jim Butcher.
Well, I don't have a lot to add. I think a lot was said. I do, of course, you know, kids must be safe in order to learn. Kids also must be fed in order to learn. There's lots of things that just go together. The safety is absolutely job one. I know we've made strides in the last few years to make sure with keyless entry and very card readers and so forth to do the very best we can to make things safe. Let me echo what Mr. Pyle said. I work for Mr. Pyle, so I totally agree with this. You know, again, it's the interpersonal relationship thing. You're the safest with, you have to be safe outside your school from folks outside. You've got to be safe from within your school. And the biggest asset you have are the relationships between kids and teachers and kids wanting to keep each other safe and letting you know, not being afraid to say, I suspect something. Not being afraid to say, you know, somebody propped open the door down in the educational wing. You need to look at that. So it's a never-ending battle. I do know that the people in Bristol certainly care about safety. Hey, look at your police department. The majority of our police force are Tennessee High School graduates, so I know they take it seriously, and that makes me feel safer. Thank you.
That concludes the answers to the first question, so we'll move now to the second question. And the first respondent will be Ms. Harrison. The question is, what projects would you encourage the student body, teachers, and administration to collaborate on to build student body morale and develop community pride in Bristol, Tennessee schools?
Oh boy, where to start? All right, first of all, I mentioned economic development. I think that we can use our graphic arts department and our film production crew at Tennessee High School to become involved in that process. Right now, whenever our economic development folks go to send information about our school systems, they print it out from the BTCS website. They send them 3 sheets of paper with our statistics. Those kids could create the prettiest, best, glossiest 10-page brochure about our schools, what we have going on. Solar panels at Holston View, Slim Pickens at Tennessee High, Hope Malone at Avoca. We have some great stories that we can tell. Their names can go on that. It goes on their resume for college. We give it to the city and they will use it. They are open to working with us. The students will buy in that they are helping to build Bristol. They're going to be interested in coming back here if they've seen us grow because of the projects that they're involved in. The other thing that they can do inside that brochure, let's slip in a DVD, not just about the schools. Let's show our fall foliage on the mountains, rhythm and roots. We've got some great things going on in Bristol. If they help make that DVD, you slide it into the brochure, we send it into the industries, and you end it with a message with the students saying, welcome to Bristol, we want you here. I'm sorry, I'm so excited I can't help it. But there are so many great things like that that we can do with our student body to pull them in, make them part of the process, and look at the bigger picture for Bristol. Thank you.
Next respondent, Councilman Hyde.
I think that the best learning tool that can be used by students is to really do it, hands-on. I'm really big on business partnerships, and we've started one just recently with electric mechanical, and those kinds of things are really beneficial, and it gets students involved in the curriculum. And why am I doing this math? Why am I doing this English? And gives them a sense of pride also in the products that they're particularly working with. And also gives them a connection with the community. And it gives them a connection of what the whole world's all about and what education is about and how it fits in there. And I think that builds pride. I know when, if we were building, for example, a habitat house, which kids participate in, they have a pride in that. I built that house, I did this, I did part of this work. I think all those kinds of things are living memories and great educational tools to build that education and morale.
Next respondent, Mr. Butcher.
Would you read the question again?
Sure. What projects would you encourage the student body, teachers, and administration to collaborate on to build student body morale and develop community pride in Bristol, Tennessee schools?
Well, you know, my personal philosophies of what I would like, you know, to see happen with projects, I think probably take a back seat to what needs to be done as far as what the school is concerned, the students are concerned, the faculty is concerned, and the community is concerned. There's pride already in our system, but I know there's great talent, and an example that I'm very familiar with is at the high school we had a very active student council, and given the opportunity to look at what is needed and to make suggestions, they came up with many more creative solutions than I could ever think about. Then the job is to empower them and you know, give them the opportunity to take risks and to do things. Kids are not going to always make the very best decisions, but they have to be given opportunities to make decisions at all in order to grow. So I would follow that route.
Final response from Ms. Ellis.
Well, I attend the Arby's Classic every year, and I'm one of those that camps out there the whole time as much as I can. But a couple of years ago, I noticed I was sitting up in the back where I never really sit, and when it was over, everyone gets up and leaves, and there's just a huge pile of trash, food, containers. People kind of got up and just left them, and that was one of the things that I thought about as a project for our students, is to build more pride in their physical school also. And I talked to the principal there about maybe encouraging the kids to come up with some ideas on their own. And if our kids take pride in their building and do some things to help beautify it, then when the other people walk in, they will see that this building is treasured by these students. But I could see that working not just at the high school, but at different age groups. When I used to volunteer at Fairmount Elementary, I would plant flowers sometimes in the afternoon and pull weeds, and kids who lived in the neighborhood loved to come by and help me. And so there are things at every level that you can get kids involved in to let them feel some ownership in their school. And I agree with Mr. Butcher that it is great to offer them the challenge to come up with some things on their own. We found out that our kids love to make videos. We've got lots of artsy and creative kids. I think we should challenge them with their ideas on what we can do at our school to build some pride and morale in those surroundings. And also, I think that our kids from pre-K on, those little kids, should start feeling that pride about being a Viking. Because really, if you're a parent, you know there's no time at all before they're graduating high school. I think that we should encourage them more in pre-K to wear that maroon and know that one day they're going to graduate Tennessee High. And I think anything that we can do as far as getting the older kids in high school, junior, to mentor those kids would be great. Thank you.